I've talked about this before about the strikes in the gaming and everything. This is kind of a little bit of a political thing too.
One of the things about you that I was aware of because it got press a few weeks ago. It's just something that is so prevalent in our industry right now. It's like both strikes were all about AI. It was like
Right.
that was the thing that people it's were focused on. It seems to be such a conversation at all times.
Right.
What was it like with Aloy for you to see a synthesized version of the character and sort of not have had any involvement in that?
It was bizarre.
Yeah.
It's such a strange experience. I mean, I wonder if you relate to this as well. Being an actor where you put so much of who you are into this character.
You can see Ashley is trying very hard to word this the right way because she doesn't want to piss off. Because I mean, Ashley Birch is not really a name and a face that you just widely know. It's not like it's a Laura Bailey or a Troy Baker or something, But Ashley has been around for a long time in the industry and everything. Her not only that, but her father and her brothers and everything have been voice actors and actors and everything. So, yeah, this is.
But she didn't start with you and she doesn't end with you necessarily, right? Like it was sort of a stark reminder of I feel so connected to this character. I've put so much of myself into this character. I feel a lot of ownership over this character.
But you don't own it. The company owns it.
And then at the end of the day, she as like an IP belongs to a company.
Yeah.
And they reached out to me to say like we didn't use any of your data and it was just for we have no, I forget exactly what they said. It was like it doesn't reflect active development, I think is what they said.
Yeah.
Like
so right there is like it was a test.
It was like it doesn't reflect active development, I think is what they said.
Yeah.
Like
that attitude right there, yeah, it's bullshit. Like just having that attitude right there, that is holding up a lot of progress in the gaming space because actors are now starting to get this attitude of like, well, it's my face, it's my voice. Well, guess what? The music industry, if you're in the music industry, you don't own shit. So you should be thankful that you own or that you have the ability to even do a contract negotiation. And also, again, I will say this time and time again, negotiate better contracts. Put everything, if you know about this AI stuff, okay, if they manipulated your likeness or whatever and using AI in that first project, now you know what to look for. Learn from it, do better.
But it is, it was sort of, and why I did that video is like, this is a reminder though, that like, even if that's not my voice and it's not my facial data, it is a character that I'm uniquely associated with.
But it's not your character though. If you wrote Aloy, you made Aloy and it was your creation, because essentially she is not the creation of Aloy. Aloy is a creation of the art team, the director, the writer, the head of the studio producer and all that stuff. That Herman Holtz has probably more ownership of that character that Ashley Birch just came in and gave a voice to, gave a likeness to, than anybody.
And there's obvious interest in exploring this technology.
Right.
Why would they be testing it otherwise, you know? And, we've said throughout the entire video game strike, and I think this was true for TV theatrical as well, that like, it's not an ask for a moratorium on AI. There isn't a desire to stop people from using a technology that could be useful. I've talked to game developers that are like, it could make our workflow a lot easier. I'm like, amazing, great. Yeah. I love that for you. I would love for your workflow to be easier. The thing that we're scared of and that we're fighting against is this idea that we could possibly be replaced.
Yeah.
And again, that's an attitude that is, it's stupid to have that attitude, because here's the thing with it is like you can never really replace the actor. And so in that, it's like whether it's an artist, like I've heard so much of music stuff from AI music stuff, I'm just like, it's not the same as having, people in a booth or in the studio actually performing and recording it. Like it's an AI orchestra. It always anything like that, whether it's a rock song, an orchestra, or a singer or something. It's not, AI is always getting better. Yes, but AI is just training off from something else. So if it does not have, if there is not the human inputs for the AI to train off from, it's never going to be any better than what it is right now. So you always are going to have that human input first to make the AI do something, to do a thing.
Wholesale, and I think there's some skepticism that like that would ever completely happen.
Mm.
But I think I think there are a lot of developers that like working with actors, and they know what actors bring, and they have no interest in fully replacing them. I do think there are developers that would try.
Yeah.
And those developers would fail. You know why? Because what Ashley Birch brings to the character is something that you're not going, like her making the character come alive. She is going to add that little bit of personality in there. Again, she does not own the character. This is just her inspiring the writers to write the character a slightly different way in different scenes and everything, because of the way Ashley Birch is acting out the scene. So again, she does not own it. She is just, she's just making the character move, essentially. She is assisting with the development of the character. She does not own anything. And I think that's where a lot of the strike stuff, because now I'm hearing more and more of like the actor, the people that are running the strike, they just want money. The actors are, and that's essentially what they got. It's like, I think they basically just got, like, the union workers get like 24 to 34% more, something like that. Yeah, it was like 20 to 30% more. It was somewhere in that ballpark of extra pay, basically. And I'm like, yep, that's what the whole thing was. The union workers are just sitting there. They are not actually actors. The ones that are getting, that are starting all this stuff. They are, again, they're just union workers. They're the ones that, they're just there to look out for everybody. They're trying to get paid more. And so they shut down the whole industry because of that shit. Welcome to Hollywood. It's kind of a thing with unions too, overall. And you have, the actors themselves, they're like, well, because actors, they need to work. They want to work. It's like, that's their passion. That's what they get behind is working on projects and everything. And a lot of them, it's just like, I think that's the biggest scare is, at first, everybody's like, because, that's the other thing too. They're actors. So they're drama, theatrical, emotional driven. So they just have, that's the reason why you have such a knee-jerk reaction from Hollywood when it comes to politics and everything, is because nobody, when it comes to, and I say Hollywood, I'm saying, I'm using it as a blanket statement, not just Hollywood, California, but just Hollywood overall, of like actors, voice actors that go into the booth or on a mocap stage. I'm using it as a blanket term. That's kind of the thing with Hollywood, though. It's just like, oh, don't replace me. It's like they're never going to, because you bring out something in that character that the writers didn't see, and then the writers go back into the room and they will rewrite a scene, and they will make, or like the artist or something like that. You're carrying the character a certain way, and then all of a sudden, the director's like, wait, that's cool. Let's redo a little bit of the character's outfit or something to reflect how the actor is portraying the character. Again, though, the actor does not own anything of that character, like Ashley Birch is saying here. So it's a very good thing that she said here, was she does not own it. The company owns it. So the company can do whatever the fuck they want to do with it, whether it's AI or whatever. And also, Aloy is not Ashley Birch's likeness. Now, if this was like, okay, Laura Bailey in Call of Duty or something, where it's actually her face, or it's like Troy Baker as Higgs in Death Stranding, and it's actually his face in the game, and they were AI manipulating that to make Higgs do something that Troy Baker wasn't comfortable with, that's a bit of a different story. But for majority of the gaming industry, it's not even their likeness that's on the character. And there's a reason why they do that. So they don't have to pay the person royalty. Like Kojima I'm pretty sure Kojima has to pay Troy a certain type of royalty for using his likeness in game. The same way as it's like Norman Reedus and anybody that's in the game like that, that's face scanned into the game. Same way that your sports games have to pay certain royalty fees in the overall paycheck for like a wrestling game or a sports game or something. If you notice, Troy Baker is super associated with Joel from The Last of Us. It's not Troy Baker in the game at all, though. Troy Baker is the main villain bad guy of Far Cry 4, right? 4, yeah. It's not him. It's not his likeness in the game either. That's the reason why.
Interest in fully replacing them. I do think there are developers that would try.
Yeah.
For cost saving or because they want a very specific thing. And, for me.
Okay. So, but then also we have the whole aspect of James Earl Jones dies. So Darth Vader's voice actor, I'm pretty sure I'm getting his name right. I suck at names. Sorry if I got it wrong. But he dies, and then all of a sudden, Darth Vader AI voiceover thing, it's like GBT chat is doing Darth Vader lines in Fortnite, I guess it was, or something like that. Hey, it got signed off by the estate. People are still throwing a fit about it. It's just like
any strike or any labor action, anything that a union does is to protect.
Oh, it literally it kept the spirit of Vader alive. So now this is where I disagree. I think the union is just out for money.
Strike or any labor action, anything that a union does is to protect the most community that it can. It's to help people. For me, the big thing is like, I want this job to exist for people coming up. And a lot of my earlier work.
So this first part is too much faith in the union that, we are going to, instead of going into, so you're putting your faith, and again, this is where I say, figure out your own contract. Ashley Birch should be doing full on looking over the contract. Okay, I like this. I like this. I like this. I don't know about this AI thing. And she should be raising that topic up, not the union, not her manager, talent agency, or whatever. It should be her going through the contract, figuring that stuff out. And that literally should be a training course to get into acting and all that stuff. Or at least the talent agency should be have somebody go through, like it's a lawyer or like it's an accountant, basically going through and being like, okay, do you agree to this? Do you agree to this? Do you agree to this? If, because contract is probably like, 10 pages long or whatever. If you agree to all of it, fine, sign on the line, boom, you're in, get working on the project. If not, then there should be a contract negotiation that happens with the company. And if the company can't come to agreement on terms, you move on. Yes. Oh my God, I'm going to give up the opportunity of a lifetime. But then if you do the opportunity of a lifetime, you're going to be complaining about it later on.
This job to exist for people coming up. And a lot of my earlier work was in games where I was just doing little call outs and little barks,
Right.
like I would do 50 lines in a game or something. And that is the kind of thing that I worry about being replaced.
Okay. Now
Yes. And that's how people cut their teeth.
So you're going to have different jobs as the industry evolves and we have different opportunities that arise. You're going to have different jobs. And in all honesty, like, you don't even need to start at that low level. Nowadays, no, just have AI do all that stuff. And then somebody can actually get into a bigger role and make a bigger paycheck. So your entry into the industry is a bigger paycheck overall. So you're making more money off from this stuff than just going in there doing, 30 lines of woof and 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 all that stuff. It's like that, that's the flip mindset of what it should be. Of let that shit be AI driven. Now this person comes in and they are all of a sudden this like side character that, wow, that was a really cool side character. I like that. I like that character. Who is, and then as someone out like a talent casting, they see that and they're like, wow, okay, there's something there because they did more of a character role than just all that. If any, like, I get the sentiment where Ashley's coming from, but that's like, it's like, the old person mentality of, I'm looking out for the next generation. Well, just let the next generation do their thing because they're going to come into the business. Look at Ben Starr. We didn't know who the fuck he was, and then now all of a sudden he's in like 4 of the biggest games ever. It's and the whole thing of it was he and the other thing too is like Ben Starr most likely he will, because he's gone through the journey, he will be like, well, yeah, I started off just doing grunts and and call outs and everything, and then I got that one role. Like, well, instead of having to go through all those years of doing the call outs and everything, now people are just starting off with that one role and they're building up from there. So now you're just going to get bigger than the last generation before. That's an evolution of the business. That's what you want to happen. If AI is taking those littler jobs, who gives a shit? let the business evolve.
That's how they meet people. That's how they learn how to be in a booth. That's how they learn to take direction, are those gigs.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have those, then
you have something bigger. This is where I actually kind of disagree, but at the same time, I get the sentiment of where she's coming from. Like, yes, you should be cutting your teeth. You should have the little shit gigs before you get into the bigger ones just to be able to get those skills up. But at the same time, there's so many different opportunities to do, because there's so many games in development. It's like we've kind of moved on from that now.
How are we going to get our next great performers in this space if they don't get to have that experience? So, yeah, for me, it's really about like,
I mean, look at Maggie. What was shit? I forget what her last name is, but Maggie that played Lady D in, she was a theater performer. She had never done a game ever before, and then all of a sudden she's Lady D Matresk, and she's one of the biggest, most recognized people. You don't need to fully go through all of that to get to that major point. Is what I'm basically saying. It's like people will find their way. You don't need to look out for people that much.
Did your reaction surprise them? Like, did they think that you would be more supportive of like the whole process and just more excited about seeing
that video?
That video?
Well, it was leaked.
Is that how it happened?
Yeah, it was leaked. So I don't think it was ever intended for public viewing.
So there you go. Oh, well, my God, they're working with AI to replace people. No, that's knee-jerk reaction. That is totally over-dramatizing it. They are literally just trying to figure out if anything happens to one of these people, like any actor could drop dead tomorrow, and then all of a sudden you got a project where it's like, matter of fact, Max Payne, like, damn, R.I.P. James McCaffrey, the voice of Max Payne. The voice of Max Payne. He passed away, and they have Max Payne remakes in the workings. So it's like, what do you do then? Do you use AI? Do you get somebody who sounds like him? But then it's going to be a different performance of the character and all that stuff. So it's just AI. I mean, hell, that's another one too. I heard that from Alex Van Halen, Eddie Van Halen's brother, that they pushed all of Eddie's solos and all of his just like all the material and everything. They pushed into an AI to see if they could like fill out and make an AI version of an Eddie Van Halen song using some of the to try and like create the tail endings of songs or whatever. And that's, everybody's just like, nah, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't work. It's not. Now, where AI might work actually really well is you might actually get more people jobs using AI if you can clean up vocals. So if somebody has a really shitty vocal booth at their home, or they're like trying to record on like a microphone like this, where it's like, it's good, but there is some static in the background. AI can help clean that up a lot. And that's where it's a tool that could actually get more people in the door that way. You don't have to be in the same state as the recording booth at the studio is, or the mocap or whatever. You might be able to do it just from being at home in a different state. Not only that, but then also you got like Unreal Engine with metahumans and everything, which is That's a really cool one because they could essentially, you could sit in front of your camera and they could get mocap data off from somebody's performance like that while they're doing that straight from their home. That's crazy. Like the technology is going so much in a rapid pace of being able to help people work smarter, not harder. AI is just another tool in that big giant toolbox that they have to help out with everything. So yeah, again, like all the union strike stuff, it's not needed. All that is just to cost the industry more money on the actors' parts. And I think if you let it, what it does is it disrupts, because it already did disrupt. It shut down the industry, so you had a bunch of projects that were, some of them were again probably canceled. Other projects, it took it longer, for a development cycle. It's cost more money, which takes money out of everyone's pockets at that point. The union strikes, all it does is it disrupts things, and then it gets the ones that are running the union strike more money, while instead of it being like the flow of, okay, we have this new technology we're working with. Now all of a sudden we can incorporate that. It makes this really cool thing over here. And now the project is bigger. So we can do more DLC later on down the road or something. And then now you have a $70 game. You have a $20 DLC. That's more profit. That's the evolution of the industry. That's what we've been doing. The industry has just gotten bigger. It's going to continue to get bigger because gaming is bigger than it ever has been before. It's going to continue to rise and expand that way. So again, the whole union, like it, as many times as I've heard arguments for the union stuff in gaming, if you just break down the logic, it doesn't make sense on the arguments. It's just disruption, and it's really, yeah. Anyways. We got to deal with that stuff though, because it is, again, it's that like Hollywood, blanket term of actors, and it's just that group of people that bring to life, not everyone, but majority of the people that bring to life your favorite character are very dramatic, and they have knee-jerk reactions on stuff. There are handfuls of them in each industry that will actually think about the logic all the way through and test the logic on what their friends and colleagues are saying, though. So, I think Ashley is kind of doing that a little bit here, so I'll give her credit. There is some stuff that she is kind of breaking down the logic on, but then there's also, I think she's relying on the union more than what she should. Maybe back in the past, the union was a good way to go through contract negotiations, but from what the way that she's wording that right there, I would say maybe get new management to do contracts in the future because of all this AI stuff. Because you might actually get a better contract. You might actually start making more money that way, and actually have better history with the companies and everything. Or, also the other case scenario is you get the companies to just automatically have contracts for new people coming into the industry that way too. So